Good morning and welcome to our Starter for 10 this morning. My name is Jill Hawkins and I'm your host, and I'm joined by...
My name's Steve Elms, one of the ministers of the church here, and really happy to be here this morning.
Is your mic on?
Yeah, that's going to help, isn't it?
And
I'm Rob Stevens. I'm also one of the ministers, and I'm currently covering for one of the other ministers while he turns his mic on.
So, as I said a moment ago, I'm Steve. I've now got my mic on, and it's wonderful to be here today.
cool. So, welcome. And as always, we start with our question, which this morning, anyone can answer this question. Steve, give us the question.
Okay, this is a good one. It came out of a conversation we were having, some of us, last week. What are the rules of washing up and drying up in your house?
Well, my house being my house, Steve, we have multiple rules about washing up. So we wash up on rotation. We all have a turn. Some of us have more turns than others. And some of us are a little bit slippery and suddenly announce that they're not in that night. And so they offload their turn and don't always do it. And we do the drip dry thing. We don't really do the tea towel thing. We leave the pots on the drainer to dry overnight. It's more hygienic. Yeah. And actually, I had a conversation with a family member this morning about our half sink, because that's one of the rules. We've got a little half sink,
Right.
where the little bits of food from pots end up in the half sink.
Yeah.
And part of washing up is emptying that and cleaning the half sink. But the person who did the washing up last night didn't do it. So I said, I notice that you've left a little bit, and I prefer. And so they did it this morning.
Fantastic. So in your house, it's definitely something you rota, you kind of share
Definitely.
around the family, and you air dry. You let things
Yes.
dry naturally. You don't get the kind of cloth involved there.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any reason why you don't dry up? Just lazy, or?
Well, we've got a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old that
Okay.
we share the washing
Yeah.
up with, and it feels like a success that they do it.
Okay.
To ask them to dry and put away as well just feels like a bridge too far.
Okay.
But I think Rob's going to show me up now.
Okay, Rob. How's it work in your house?
We don't have a rota as such, but there is always chores after dinner, and one of the chores is to wash or dry up and put away as well. So
I need to ask a question.
Yeah.
But if there's no rota, how do you keep justice running? How do you know that everybody's doing?
Everybody does a task. That's enough justice.
Okay. Fair enough.
So but recently our dishwasher is broken. And so there's been more washing up, and we're a household of 6, so there's quite a lot, and I have a reputation for using a lot of pots when I'm cooking, like most of them. So there's always a lot to do, and to be honest, one of my great joys in life, this is very sad, but one of my great joys in life is a nice, clean, wiped down, sparkly dish drying up, where what's it called, like the
draining board.
Draining board, yeah. So I like everything wiped up, so then I can wipe it down, spray it. It's very sad, isn't it?
One of his great joys in life, Steve.
Yeah, I know.
Get a life.
One day we can hear about the others. So I noticed you said that your dishwasher had broken down recently, and that happened to us as well. We recently been a good we were about 10 days without a dishwasher.
Oh, dear.
And so we had to really get our hands into the sink. There are just 2 of us in the household, so generally it will be both of us involved in washing up. I normally wipe up and put away, and I do wipe up, Jill. I get the cloth in there and wipe up. One of the things I have noticed is that in these times when the dishwasher's out of action, we get to talk a lot more, over there's something very social, I think, or sociable about washing up. And so in some ways, I quite like that when it's kind of back to basics and so on. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there's your opener. If you've got stories about how you do the washing up in your house, Maybe it's an area of conflict. Maybe it's an area of community building, like Steve's just said. Get onto the YouTube channel and communicate with Rob, and he will share your stories. But I think for now, we're going to go to our opening song. Right?
We are. So the opening song this morning is Crown Him with Many Crowns, which is a grand old hymn that's just really does your heart good. So sit back and enjoy this. Crown Him with Many Crowns.
Anybody?
Adrian and Nikki, Phil. The audio's apparently is Adrian saying the audio on the song is really low. So I don't know if we can communicate that.
Okay. Evie, can you tell the desk that the audio on the music is too low? They're saying it. They know? All right, okay. We need a little cue when to start, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Good to have you back. So we're going to go to Rob and see what the stories are about washing up. Rob, is there much?
A little bit, yeah. And well, first of all, I think we've had... Oh, yeah, sorry. Helps to have a microphone, doesn't it? Yes, a few. But first of all, hello to Alan White, who's joined us. I've never seen Alan on here before, so I just want to say hello to Alan. Apparently Matt Watts does all of the washing up, cleaning, and hoovering, and Nikki doesn't even know where the sink is in the house.
Yeah,
so
I can believe that.
Really? Okay. I feel like I'm with Steve. Joint endeavour, though, around washing up is a good thing. So maybe Nikki needs to join in and realise the fun of washing up.
Okay. I'll have a word with her later about the fun of washing up. Yeah.
And Adrian says he absolutely loves washing up and drying with the tea towel as soon as possible to make it look nice and clean and tidy. And Phil says that he gets a row if the sink and the draining board are not left spotless. Yeah. So I have a feeling there's a bit of a kind of men of Bookham like the washing up kind of thing going on, which is great. You know, I really like that.
Yeah, I wonder who gives Phil the row. I can't imagine. Yeah. Who would that be?
No idea.
Anyway, Steve, we're coming to you now for the high five.
Okay. So, high five. This is where I have a bit of a reputation being able to work from something like washing up to a a deep theological theme and kind of make these little bridges. But I'm just wanting to confess right up that I'm struggling today, because this is a difficult one. Because today, as we, a bit later on in the service, when I come to bring the message, we're going to be pulling back the veil between heaven and earth, looking into eternity to the very realities that underpin our whole existence and actually give meaning to the whole of life. So you can see why I'm struggling. That's a really, really big theme, isn't it? It's St. John, who was in exile on the Isle of Patmos, and he had this vision of heaven. And what he sees is a throne, and on the throne, the one who was and is to come, the eternal God, and a lamb that was slain, but alive. And around this throne is the biggest choir ever. So there's these kind of 4 living creatures, 24 elders. We'll think about what that means later in the sermon. And then every creature on heaven and earth and under the earth and on the sea gathered, singing the praises. I mean, that is a big choir, isn't it? You like choirs, don't you?
I do. I love choirs.
Yeah. So what could this amazing image have to do with washing up?
Yeah.
Just to move in the right direction and maybe attempt this, but I'm going to work back from the heavenly vision, is that actually the same person who's had this vision and wrote about it met the same reality on a beach. There was a fire, hot coals, fish sizzling on the fire. And in this scene that we'll also visit in the sermon, this one who was and is to come, who was dead and now is alive forevermore, serves him breakfast. And it's a very homely, domestic scene. And it's in that homely, domestic scene that the truth of the resurrection comes through in the earthy and the everyday. I've got this exciting feeling that I'm actually managing to do what I said was impossible. Because actually, if it reaches that homely scene, it also needs to reach every home-based scene. Washing up and all that goes on in the washing up and the rules that govern our washing up, but also the community that might bubble up. Do we see resurrection there too? So we're exploring this morning what it means to be a resurrection people, a people that can take in a vast and amazing vision of the very reality that undergirds life, but also somehow meet that reality and live that reality in the everyday.
I think you did it, Steve. I think you've connected to apparently disparate ideas. In fact, I do think Rob gave you an in, if I'm honest.
Do you reckon?
He said one of his highest joys, greatest joys in life.
Yes.
Well, that's delight. And there's no delight without Christ. Christ is the source of all delight. And so I think, Rob touches something of heaven when he looks at his clean, shining training pool.
Maybe.
We're very happy for him. Very happy for you.
But maybe to push the idea a little bit further, with as we engage in conversation, perhaps as we wash and dry up, that kind of physical action of washing and drying, we may lead us into conversation around, how we are being washed of the things that are perhaps dark and dirty in our lives as well. It might help, that conversation might help us to kind of discover some of the things that maybe are a little bit dirty in our lives and that maybe need to be cleaned. And that conversation might be an important part of that process of, to use that kind of posh theological word, sanctification, but just kind of getting ourselves sorted out and reordered and washed clean of that dirty stuff in our lives.
I think we're making this connection. Actually, when you were speaking, it made me also think of a monk whose name escapes me at the moment, who calls us to that idea of doing everything to God's glory.
Brother Andrew,
thank you. He called us into that. No matter what, peeling a potato can be done to God's glory with our heart attitude being toward God and service and grace. So have we got any online engagement, Rob?
A little bit of kind of conversation around the washing up and conflict, apparently in your household.
There's a fair bit.
Yeah, but I think that there may be quite a lot in most households with children around the whole chores and, cleaning and bedrooms and all those kind of things, leaving stuff lying around, in the hallway, shoes to trip over and that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So a bit of chat around that. And Nikki reassuring us that she has enough fun without washing up. But I'm not convinced. I think that there's even more fun to be had in life through the washing up. So I'm going to just push back on that one. And Alan saying that maybe the fairy liquid washed in the fairy liquid of the lamb.
We're pressing the envelope.
I think that may be pushing it a little bit too far, but there you go.
Okay, right. So I think we're coming to the end of our starter for 10. So it's left to me to invite you. At round about 11 o'clock, we'll be live streaming the talk from this morning's service. But our numbers are increasing each week in the building. If you live close to the building, you are very welcome to come to our 10:30 service, where we'll be looking not so much, I think, at washing up, but pressing into our imagination to see this heavenly vision that Steve has been describing from Revelation. So come along and join us for worship. We've got our kids' work, and the kids are joining us for the first little spell of our service from now on. So come as families, come as an individual, be very welcome, or join us on YouTube for the talk later. Thank you. Bye.